Hey guys, BenJoe here once again. Super excited to be talking to you all about the successes at Focus Services this month. March has been just a fantastic month. We've had a lot of amazing experiences. We had an amazing mountaintop for the El Salvador region. Great job. We learned a lot. More to come on that as we continue to work through the different regions for our leadership retreat. Also, great vendor summits and client visits that we've had from El Salvador, the United States, and the Philippines. All of our clients coming back saying, love the flexibility, love the hard work, love the commitment to excellence, love the growth, and we love the leadership team. So, shout out to all of our ops teams, to our shared services teams, to our IT teams, everybody who's coming together to make these things happen. It is truly amazing. There was a powerful moment in one of our vendor summits. We were presenting. And after the end of the presentation, a senior vice president of this company came up to me and he said, this is not the first company I've worked for that has outsourced Focus. And I loved the culture then, and I love the culture now. We're talking 20 years of this person being associated with us with multiple different companies, and he is so proud and so excited with what we bring to the table. Over the month of March, I've been reading a lot of books, and there was a book that kind of landed in my lap. It's a book I've seen for a few months. You may not have heard of this book, but it's a very interesting book here. And in this book, I originally found it on a table in the Roy office. We have a table there where you can swap books, kind of like a little mini library. And I've seen it, and I just haven't picked it up. And I was gifted a copy of this book recently, and I was excited to read it. And part of the reason I was excited to read it is because I ran track in high school. And part of the reason I ran track in high school is you didn't have to try out. I have no true natural athletic ability. And so I was scared to go and do sports. Football, I tried out for basketball a couple times, didn't make the team. And so, but track was one of the ones you didn't have to try out. And so I did the 1 mile, 2 mile. I sucked. I was one of the last, which is crazy because my personal record in high school was like a 6-minute mile. And that wasn't even close to being good. Wasn't even close. Now I'd kill for a 6-minute mile. And near the end of my junior year, I got injured on my right foot. I'm a right-handed person, and I just kind of gave up, and I didn't put my all in. I should have. At one point, I even had my coach come to me and say, BenJoe, you could be one of the best if you continue to work hard. And that was so inspiring to me, but I didn't have the motivation, the drive to make that happen. I didn't do the things I needed to do, and I failed at it, and I quit. And it's something that stuck with me with anger and frustration for years because I was a quitter on this. And a few years back in like 2017, I decided I wanted to try to run again, and I had to psychologically face this frustration, this anger. And I remember sitting down with my wife and my family and going through why I just never put the effort in to try and run. Now I run all the time. I enjoy running. I probably run 2 or 3 times a week, but I missed out on so many great opportunities and missed out on what my coach was trying to inspire me to do to be a great runner. And I wish I would have had this book in my life. And it's a fantastic book here. And it's a book written by Coach Chick Hislop. If you don't know who Coach Chick Hislop is, he was the 1996 Olympic distance coach, U.S. track coach Hall of Famer, the 1991 NCAA cross-country coach of the year. And in reality, if you read his book, you'll learn he didn't know anything about cross-country or distance running really when he started training these track teams. But he learned. He went out there and he learned. He was a living legend, truly living legend in his time. And coached at Weber State. In fact, the stadium up there, the track area, is named after him. Now you're thinking, Coach Hislop, that name sounds familiar. And I was like, that's because he was the dad of our very own Chris Hislop, who was our HR director for our corporate offices over the United States. And Chris's dad sadly passed away a couple of weeks ago. And, Chris, lovingly gave me a copy of Coach Hislop's book after the funeral. And I was so inspired by his life and so inspired by all the athletes that rallied around this man who touched their lives. I had to read the book. And in the book, he shares a number of stories about different athletes. And there's a couple I want to share really quickly. One is about Begons. Okay, there was this guy named Jason. And apparently, as you may know, you can get recruited by a college with a scholarship or whatever to play or run for a school. And then there's also the walk-ons who come and they try out because they didn't know about the scholarship or never got recruited or didn't have an opportunity, and so they'll try out. And then you have the beg-ons, the people who just beg to be on the team, and most likely they suck. And there was this guy named Jason, and he begged Coach to be on the team. And Coach walked through how hard it would be, but Jason said, I'm going to do it anyway. And Jason, honestly, if you looked at his high school stats, he wasn't good enough. He was not good enough, but he wanted to be on the team. And so he tried out for the team, and then he had to take a break for a couple of years, and he had to come back, and then he went into the military for a couple of years, and he came back, and he went on a religious mission for a couple of years, and he came back 9 years out of high school, and he was still begging to be on this team. And Coach Hislop put him in the 10K in the cross-country team. He had to beg the other coaches to let him compete. He was so slow that they would joke and say, when everybody finished, where's Jason? He's like, I'll just wait a couple of minutes, he'll show up. And well, Jason worked hard and he competed and he did what I didn't do. He put everything into it because he knew he was begging to be a winner, begging to be on a winning team, begging to be with one of the greatest coaches. And fortunately, at the end of his time at Weaver State, he took second in the conference finals for the 10K and was an All-American in the NCAA. An unbelievable feat for a person who begged to be on the team. You might not be the best at this job. You might not be the best employee, the best coach, the best agent, the best director, but you're here. You don't even have to beg to be here. You're here. What are you going to do to be the best? The second one he talked about was eat your spam daily. Eat your spam daily. And this stands with super positive attitude mentally, not the whatever it is in a can that you think is meat. And he talked about this amazing guy named Dave. And Dave was a great pole vaulter, and he had an extremely positive attitude. But he had a lot of challenges in life. Financially, he had troubles. Family, he had troubles. But Dave never let it affect him. He always found a way to be successful. At one point, he ran out of money and thought he was going to get kicked out of school, and he just goes and buys a house and gets like 15 roommates to help pay for the house and supplement his income so he could stay on the track team. And he was so eager to be a pole vaulter and to do well, he would go out and pole vault by himself. And one day he'd set the little pegs to hold the pole up. He set them up backwards, and he flipped over and he came down and he hit one of those pegs on his leg, sliced open his thigh, drives himself to the hospital, and they pretty much tell him he's done. They pretty much tell him, you're not going to be able to pole vault anymore. You know, your right leg, which is your takeoff leg, is destroyed. But he wasn't going to let that. He had this spam mentality. Every day he was positive. Every day he was focused. And he came to go and says, I'm going to learn how to do this with my left leg. He's like, you're going to retrain yourself to use your left leg? He's like, yeah, watch me. And he goes out there and he does it. And he works hard. And then by the end of his senior year, he is clearing 15 feet, almost back to where he was on the right leg, and setting records on the left leg when he was originally a right legger, and later goes on to be, once again, an all-conference, all-state champion, and does an amazing job with what he had. Retrained himself. Okay, I hurt my foot a little bit and I gave up. This guy rips open his thigh, okay, at a college level and says, I can do it. I can compete. I've got the attitude to make it happen. Maybe as a coach or as an agent or even as a director, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days you're going to fail. You're going to have days where someone on your team committed fraud or made a mistake or even offended you. But if you've got that attitude that you can do it, you can accomplish anything. My favorite part of the book is a theme that goes throughout the book, and it is plan your race the plan. And Coach Hislop even talks about times when he had no plan and just told his team just to go out and have fun, and they failed. And he took the blame on himself because he didn't have a plan. But his most successful times is when they would plan out these races down to the perfection, down to the minute. They would study their competitors and say, we're going to push our competitors this point and then we're going to kick on the speed. We're going to pace the team to this point and then we're going to kick on the speed. And people around them would say, hey, you need to change plan, He's like, we planned our race, we're going to race our plan. We set goals with each one of you. We put in call flows, we put in policies and processes and things that we do because we've tested them and we're pushing them to be successful. And sometimes we see people get to Monday and they set some goals, and then by Wednesday they're saying, oh, these goals suck, this plan doesn't work, let's just go do something else. And I tell you, plan your race and race your plan. Some of you have been recruited to be here. Some of you tried out. Some of you begged to be here. Some people, you may think, why is this person here? They are always last. But I tell you, I'll take anybody, any day, who eats their Spam daily and trusts and has faith when we plan our race, we'll race our plan to success. That's what's going to happen this month. We have a plan. Every one of their team members has a plan. We've planned out this race. We are going to race that plan to success. But I need you to eat your Spam daily. And it does not matter if the people around you are beg-ons, walk-ons, or recruited. They are all here because they deserve to be. So, thanks, Coach. Thanks for the nuggets, words of wisdom. Chris, our love and prayers to you. And I hope to see all of you at the finish line.